And welcome back, everybody, to another fabulous day spinning above the Circuit de Barcelona. Oh, yeah, we're Barcelona, Catalonia, and we are going to start things out with an AMX Zero race. Shocking, I know. It's another day of AMX Global League Season 3, and we're coming back with, I think the first time we're seeing this track, but second time we're running FIA F4 cars. And this is just AMX Zero. We've got AMX 10 races coming up a little bit later on. And speaking of the first time that we're seeing things, it's not the first time in AMX, but it is a brand new welcome to Season 3 to Chan Weihan. Weihan, how are you doing today?
Well, it's great to see you, Reed. It's great to be back for Season 3 of AMX Racing, and I can't wait to see what some of the fastest drivers, and in fact, every driver here has to offer for all of us who are tuning in to AMX Zero today. And of course, we've got a combination of some of the best cars and tracks, and that's something I'm really looking forward to as the drivers take on both races, AMX Zero and AMX 10 tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a tough one. You know, F4 cars are not the easiest cars to drive for sure, but if you're trying to work your way up the formula ladder, I think now we have the entire tree of F4, 3, 2, and 1 pretty much all the way up. So you can really learn at your own pace, and F4 is a great place to start. Oh, I guess you probably want to start in like Formula Vs or something, but then move your way up. And F4 is a great step. So for our racers, you know, last time we had some pretty rough crashes in the first time we ran F4s this season. So I'm crossing my fingers. I hope things are going to go well. And I can't wait to see what they look like in Barcelona, because I have not specifically been here myself in person or in iRacing, so I'm excited to see how the track fares for our drivers today in AMX Zero. But before we get into that, we've got to talk about what we are doing here. If you're new to AMX Global League Season 3, then keep listening. If you've heard this all before, I'll try to run through it a little bit more quickly. Basically, we're running a 3-month-long sim racing tournament here on iRacing, and there's a $25,000 prize pool. We have more races in our tournament than any other tournament in the world, unless you guys can find something with more than 72 races. I'd love to check it out. But by far, the biggest defining characteristic of this season is the race format. We've got 15-minute qualifier session into a 15-minute heat session, and then a heat 2 following that, but in between we sneak some reverse grids there. So we're going to flip things up, really mix things up, and we have equal payments. So we're paying out for each qualifier, heat 1 and heat 2. So get in there. If you're good enough to be in the top 15, you get yourself a little bit of money, and more than anything, you get a lot of great racing experience on some really fun cars and tracks. For AMX Zero, we would love to see your camera. So join via the link in our Discord announcements channel. You can find that by either joining it on Discord or by heading over to our website, amxrace.com. And if you are so fortunate enough to win over $100, we will pay that out every single month and send that out to you guys. And of course, we are racing on Wednesday, Saturday, Sundays, and Thursday, Saturday, Sundays if you are in Europe or some other places too. That is going to do it for our updates, our overviews, and everything else. Let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule. Like I said, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday, with AMX Zero starting at 7:50, 9:20 in the evening on Wednesday. And then on the weekends, we start at 12:50 p.m. in the afternoon, and AMX 10 races at 2:20 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, if you got some time in the afternoon on the weekends, let us know. AMXrace.com is the place to sign up. In Europe, on Thursday, we are racing way late at night. So this is basically Wednesday evening, but late Wednesday evening, early Thursday night. And then also on the weekends, we are doing some evening races for you guys. That's AMX Zero starting at 6:50 p.m. and AMX 10 at 8:20 p.m. So there you go. Now, what are we racing for? We've got a lot of info here, but suffice it to say, we've got about $100 here for you on the line, and we're going to split it up between the top 15 places for qualifier Heat 1 and Heat 2. So regardless of where you place, you're probably going to be at least close to what you're seeing here on the screen. Start out $7 for winners or first place qualifiers, and then we also have a $1 prize for the fastest lap. We're also going to give you $1 if you turn your camera on and join via the link in our Discord server. So that's also something that we'd love to see and reward you for it. And actually, the camera prize is the same as placing 11th or lower. So that's not bad. Not bad at all. We're not only racing for money, pride, and experience, but also thanks to our friends at Next Level Racing. They have provided the AMX Zero Champion with a GT Lite Pro. Next Level Racing, of course, they make a lot of different sim racing cockpits of all shapes and sizes. So big thanks to them for helping level up the competition here and providing the prize for the AMX Zero Championship. And now let's take a look at where our standings stand. This is a look at the top 12 for AMX Zero so far in Season 3. And I say so far because these numbers are going to go way up. We are less than halfway through our season, so we've got a lot more coming your way. Jackson Resenje, Quarantine, Guinness, your only racers with over $100 just from AMX Zero races alone. Round out the top 6, we have Caio Gaspar, Fabrizio Belziti, Kieran Harrison, and Gerardo Ramos down there in top 6. If you want to put your name up in the top 12, amxrace.com is the place to do it. And you see a lot of these racers, some with more races, some with less, and you can do it either way, right? If you are really good, you can get out here first every single race, and you're going to be on the board pretty quickly. But even if you just race in every single race, it's a great way to pick up a lot of prize money. Put your name up here in the AMX Zero top 12. Here, coming up in just a second, is a look at the average race winnings, or at least we should. Oh, looks like that is not coming up. What is actually coming up is going to be a look at what is on your screen. We are spinning around the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. This is a little bit beyond me, so I'm going to turn things over to my co-caster Weihan to talk you through what and where we're racing today.
Yes, so we are going to Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, which is the home of the Spanish Grand Prix and also one of the racetracks that's among the most challenging in the Grand Prix calendar because of the way the track is laid out. It has a long main stretch, but apart from that, that's the only part that's long and straight about this track. The rest of the track is filled with short stretches and the sharp corners, especially with this layout, which uses the bus stop chicane at turns 13, 14, and 15. So what that means is that with these Formula 4 cars racing here at Catalonia, the drivers will be in for quite a challenging experience as they handle the car along this racetrack. Of course, it's not an easy racetrack. It also happens to be the first European racetrack on any Grand Prix series calendar, and that is usually a significant event. So we are, in fact, using the FIA Formula 4 racing car that's just joined the iRacing service not too long ago. It's been picking up in popularity, in fact, due in part to FIA's endorsement of the official iRacing F4 series, and it's great to see these cars racing here today. Of course, Formula 4 cars in real life are used by aspiring Formula racing drivers, and this usually forms the baseline of the career ladder, so to speak, for all those racing drivers racing out there. And it's also likewise the case for some of the drivers who want to make it big here at AMX.
Yeah, great rundown. This is a big step up in racing, just given the way that these cars function. And as we hop into qualifying, we'll get a chance to see what that looks like, because for Formula 4, the different formulas in FIA are sort of striated, and at Formula 4, they're regionalized, right? So depending on your region, well, it's not exactly as strict as that, but they are a little bit segmented. And so I'm really happy to see this car in iRacing because it does it along with the Formula 4 initiative to provide more accessible on onboarding for sim racers out there. Gives them a nice opportunity to not only get involved in an accessible car to get into Formula racing, but also in accessible championships and tournaments. And so if you do have some practice on this, you can hop in at any time during qualifiers. We got about 15 minutes of qualifiers coming up here. So let's see how our racers do today. I'm optimistic, Weihan, because this is it's like a medium downforce track. So I'm kind of curious to see how these F4s handle around Catalonia.
Well, in some ways, it would it would go towards high downforce because of the fact that the final chicane, the RACC chicane, is still in place. As we have a look at Pedro Moura taking his Formula 4 car across this chicane. Of course, in real life Formula 1 racing, I think this bus stop chicane has been excluded finally due to the fact that the runoff along the two final corners have been extended, so it's safer to run that path. But nonetheless, this is kind of the more challenging layout for the drivers to take. So of course you're on the main stretch here, among the longest main stretches of the Grand Prix calendar. The straight just doesn't end until it actually does, and drivers will go breaking down into, I believe, third gear. Over here you'll have to be careful with the line through turn 2 because that's where you want to get the most optimal exit to the long sweeping right-hander that is turn 3. As we have a look at, well, there are 17 drivers out here who've signed up for qualifying, and that means that qualifying will be quite important for the drivers to take on this track. So it's, well, on this track you can hit quite a high top speed due to the main stretch, but it's not exactly a fast track because apart from the main stretch, you go to, once you head towards the inside of this track with the rest of the corners are kind of packed quite closely together, and you've also got to be very precise with your racing line, especially this corner. You have to ensure that you're around this speed. Of course, with these Formula cars, you have more downforce, so you can take more speed across the corners. But as you move up onto the next few corners, your racing line will be absolutely important because right here, you can see he's almost lost his car, and especially with this right-hander that's coming out there, you want to get the optimal line without cutting the track because this then sets you up. Yeah, he's made the mistake, made the runoff to the escape route there, and he's had to bail his qualifying lap.
Yeah, I like how Felipe Petronev was helping you out there in your explanation. You're like, hey, this corner's a little bit hard, and he starts to lose it. Like, I guess it must actually be that hard. And in general, it's not just the track that's hard. F4 cars definitely take some practice. This is not your production car. You're not heading out for a track day. It is going to take a little bit more to handle. So Petronev, we don't want to dunk on him and say, oh, he made a mistake when he was racing. No, it's actually a lot more difficult than it looks. So thanks for breaking that down, Weihan.
Yeah, so we're now with Jackson Resende, who's just set a pole lap time, the fastest lap time of qualifying, which puts him up to provisional pole position. He's got $7 in the bag, which is a good thing, because more money in the bag is always a good thing. Oh, 146.177, so that's quite a fast lap time indeed. Of course, in qualifying, slipstreaming is important, so you can see that Resende is sitting in the slipstream of, I would imagine, another racing driver in front. And with these short stretches, you can try to get as much slipstream as you can to shorten your lap time as much as possible. We're now with, I think, Kieran Harrison. Oh, he's also made a bit of mistake, and well, you can just see that here at Barcelona. The corners, some of the corners, they come sooner than you expect. So it's more important for the drivers to be on the brakes earlier than they'd expect to, in order to handle this track well. I think we should be with Kieran Harrison for real this time. He's set, I think, in front of another car which has a similar paint scheme as it takes the RACC chicane here. You can just see that these Formula 4 cars, although they're not exactly the fastest, it's still quite a challenge to handle these cars around some of the tighter corners. So across the line comes Kieran Harrison, and he set a 146.356, which pushes him up to provisional third.
Yeah, the reason the liveries are the same is because Kieran Harrison and Quarantine Guinness are SimRC.de teammates. So I think I got the name right. Yeah, so they are on the same team. They do race quite a bit against each other, but they also help each other when it comes to drafting if they need to get a good lap in there. Let's take a look at Han An on AJ Racing. This guy's 34, and if you want to follow him, there is his Instagram on your screen right there. You know how in Iron Man, when his daughter says that she loves him 3,000, apparently Hanan is only 1662 good, so he might need to level up a little bit there. Either way, great to have.
I didn't know
Hanan.
I didn't know Jehan is 34. I thought it was 32 or something. Maybe he must have lied to me.
No. Well, you got to keep in mind this is a Korean age. No, I have no idea.
Yes.
No,
That could be.
I'm not sure about that at all. But we're generally sure that he is not a teenager anymore. That's all we can tell you guys. So let's see what Quarantine Guinness has in the tank. He is 146. Now you were talking about it earlier. The version of this track with and without the chicane. So obviously it does make quite a big difference. And as we take a look at... So, wait a second. This is Quarantine Guinness. He's already in pole position with a 146.1, and he's on 2 purple sectors. So, let's... 145.8. Stop. Okay, you already got first provisional pole. But, man, this guy does not know how to stop pushing. Really, really fast lap time. I was going to talk about the lap times in context of removing or the presence of that chicane. And so for with the chicane, the times are like 5 seconds lower. It's like 147 in Formula 4s in real life. And then if you take the chicane out, then it goes all the way down to 142. So, there's a huge difference there that might be playing into why we see these times up here on our screen.
Yeah, absolutely. And Guinea obviously blowing the rest of the competition off the water, as he does always. Every single time that we've seen him race, he's usually up front. He's usually up front unless, there are even more faster drivers that are racing the field. This is the number 16 of... Well, do we... Number 16. Victor Miranda. Yes, our only pro licensed racing driver here. The black licensed driver, as we like to call it. Racing here in our grid of AMX 0. So, of course, Victor Miranda has a lap time of 146.450, which puts him in provisional 4th. And he's got $3 in the bag. Yeah, that's $3 more than the drivers who have not qualified up front.
Well, it's only in the bag until somebody else comes back here and takes it away from him. So if he finishes in that place, then yeah, sure, it's his. But have a feeling some of these guys are trying to dip their hand in the cookie jar and maybe take a little bit of it out. Victor Miranda, obviously one of the best drivers that we have here in the AMX Global League Season 3. So I'm expecting good things from him. There's a lot of pressure there. However, given that he is right next to Gerardo Ramos, who might have a little bit of a predisposition towards this track in Spain, we'll see what he can put up there on the board. No improvement this time around, but still very, very competitive until you get up to Quarantine Guinness, who is a little bit up there.
Yeah, someone's a fan of Team USA, obviously, behind the scenes.
Yes, very happy to see that.
Yeah, I think we're now with Victor Miranda once again. Is it Victor Miranda? On
This
the
is
bottom
Victor
right,
Miranda.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. So it's been unseated by... he's been unseated by the first corner as well.
It's a rough one.
Yeah, it is.
What's your tip? Your Professor Wayhan's sim racing tip for not losing it on the first corner of Barcelona?
I have to tell you, this is one of the tracks that I sometimes avoid because I'm always getting off tracks here. So that becomes that's kind of a difficult place for me to go to. But obviously it's I think one of the tricks that I would advise drivers to kind of keep in mind when you're racing is to brake before you think you have to brake. And you'll be good.
But I thought I was supposed to brake as late as I could.
Yeah, well, that's if look, I'm
That's
not a
if you're
fast
good.
driver, so yeah, that's if you're good. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. No, I mean, it is a dilemma, right? Do I brake early and then, like take my little elderly lady walker out and then try to like get a nice Boy Scout to help me cross the street around the corner? Or do I send it down the inside, hit the brakes almost never, and then somehow use incredible downforce to make my car drive on the ceiling? There's two schools of thought here. So I honestly think that it's worth it to maybe just absolutely send it on a lap and just see if you can try to get it down. I remember, what was it, like a Lewis Hamilton story where he said his dad used to like tell him to brake like further and further and further into the turn, and he would just absolutely send it into like the lake and the pond and the ditch and bushes over and over again. And then eventually he got it, right? Because as you practice, as you learn the limits of your car and how much you can trust the downforce, how much you can trust the handling, then you can get a little bit better handle on when absolutely you have to hit the brakes on it. So probably practicing that in the first corner and probably a few other corners here might be advisable, as we see the little pop-up in the bottom of the hand corner telling you how to read the timings.
Reed, I wouldn't use that advice for the first corner of the first lap of a race though. It's something to avoid, sending it into turn one because you don't win the race in the first corner. But otherwise,
but,
yes,
but
if
you do win the race. And it's not about you winning the race in the first corner, Wei-Han. It's about you stopping other people from being able to win the race in the first corner.
Hey, big brain time.
That's my sim racing advice. It's like they can't. If you can't win, nobody else can win.
Reviewing the lap times as they stand at this point, Guinness has, he's still with a 1:45.878, but Victor Miranda has a 1:45.894. What that means is they're separated by, less than 200ths of a second. So both of them are now within very close margin with each other. Of course, Victor Miranda is the driver with the black license, whilst the Corentin Guinness currently holds on to an A license, albeit with the highest I rating in this session of 8.8k, which is out of this world. It's like this is 0.01% of the iRacing player base that will ever have that I rating. This is Fabrizio Belziti, who's qualified provisional 7th. He has a lap time of 1:46.696, which is a fast lap time indeed, much faster than what I can set during qualifying. And he has what seems to be an interesting backdrop in his room there. Yeah, it's very, very nice setup that we're seeing there.
Oh, I used to do this. This is like the poor man's blackout curtains. Just trying to create the den, the lair of the sim racer. Looks pretty good so far. Quarantine Guinness continues to hold that big bad purple provisional pole up top. He said it a long time ago, but it stuck because, oh my God, it's so fast. So really, the 145s are limited to the top 3 racers so far, if I'm reading that correctly. Very, very fast. So, Kieran Harrison. Whoa, my man. Waited until the last 30 seconds to put up a that's why we call it provisional pole, Wei-Han. I actually didn't like that the first time I heard that. I'm like, just call it pole position. I'm like, well, no, it's not pole yet. And that's the reason, because you never know what you're going to get when you walk through that door. Guinness is still racing for the last 4 seconds, but he's not fast. He's not that fast enough to head across the line in time, and that's going to do it for our first 15 minutes of racing here at AMX 0. Qualifiers are done. The buildings are popping up, and that means it's time to check out our final standings. Kieran Harrison, at the last possible moment, has head across the finish line in first, the 1:45.758. His teammate, who he summarily unseated there, Quarantine Guinness in second. So nice friendly rivalry there. You wonder if these guys are helping or hurting each other. It's probably a little bit of both. Victor Miranda rounds out your top 3 on Texaco Racing by Tony Kanaan. You'll see a bunch of his teammates here up and down the field. And some other big names that we were talking about. We got Dylan Davis Thomas, DDT down there, his second race with us, and he's kind of struggling towards the back. And keep in mind, only the top 15 get reverse gridded. So as we get into Heat 1, we're going to flip things up the standings, change it up, and put the 15th and 14th driver in the front row, and so on and so forth, and make for a pretty exciting start to our F4 time here in Barcelona.
So the drivers grid up at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. Well, on the top right of the screen, you see a note mentioning, racing is my home. It's a home for all of us. Yes, that's right.
Well, and if you're a sim racer, it literally is in your home, unless you're one of the top 1% that has like a sim racing shed. I actually saw a setup like that. This guy's got a shed in his backyard, and he has his sim racing setup in there. So it's like the cockpit, but we can't all be so lucky. Here we go! The wheels are spinning, the smoke is out, and the green lights are off. It's time to start our F4 race here in Barcelona. A nice start there for Eliseo. He maintains that first spot there. Zamperlini making up a couple of spots there. And I love the new red and green striping on our timing tower. Makes it so easy to see that Godoy is out of here. A big spin takes him all the way out of the race. Ocano drops back pretty summarily, and on board with Kieran Harrison after his reverse grid puts him now in 11th. A big start for him.
That's a great start here. Now we have a good perspective of some of the drivers trying to battle it out. Of course, we have a 100% reverse grid, and that means that sometimes the fastest drivers will start from behind, and you'll see a lot more overtaking action as the cars go trying to ride on top of each other. Oh, that was a huge shunt, and Zamperlini has gone all the way behind. Of course, we do have a huge shuffle of positions. A lot of drivers have gained positions, and so have some drivers who have lost a lot of positions. Of course, Nico Godoy and Fabio Zamperlini have been the drivers who've lost the most positions. But we're now back with some of the drivers who've made it up towards the mid-pack. This is Fabrizio Belziti, who's steadily climbing from 9th position now up to 6th position. Coming across what's one of the more trickier corners here at Catalonia. Of course, this corner layout does no longer exist. We're now using that round piece of track just on the outside at Catalonia nowadays. As they make their way, it is quite a tricky approach into the RACC chicane here, but all the drivers make it through well. Of course, Villarreal we are with at this point. Ocano as well, over in 16th, and a bit of mistake by Thompson, and that sets him down to 19th position. But that is a lap around Catalonia, and of course, drivers going all defensive along what is among the longest main stretches. As we have a look at the replay of a crash between Zamperlini and Resende, it was quite tricky for Resende, I guess, to avoid the incident, and that unfortunately resulted in both drivers losing quite a couple of positions.
Yeah, but for Resende, he's able to still keep it up there. He's in 13th, still has a field to go through, but still a big struggle there as we watch side by side into the turn on the inside. Facundo Arago, representing Argentina, is trying to distance himself a little bit from his countryman. Calavi stays behind Jehan An, and Rago flies up into second. A big move, and I love the Voracious Esports logo there on the front of his sim rig. That is sick. He is racing a chariot tonight, but he's got a few more than just 2 horses under the hood up there in second.
Yeah, absolutely. With these Formula 4 cars, you don't have a whole lot of horsepower, but you do require a lot of talent to make up for the lost horsepower as you take this track. Both drivers going side by side into the tight first gear left hand. That's the number 11 who's gone around, Caio Gaspar.
Yeah, we can keep going. I'm just adding intensity because he did in fact get spun there. Gaston Calavi, probably, I guess, a silent benefactor of that situation, but not exactly what you want to see there. Rough way to battle it out at the front. So as we hop on board with Quarantine Guinness, this is a guy that was summarily displaced by his teammate Kieran Harrison, but who has the last lap now? Guinness up in 4th, whereas Harrison is SimRC teammate down in 8th.
Yeah, great drive by Corentin Guinet, who's climbed 10 positions from his grid start position. We'll have a look at Caio Gaspar's crash in the replay, and he sent it a little too hard down the inside and the car along the outside also converged to his racing line a little too soon, and that resulted in both cars coming into contact with each other. And of course with Formula cars you don't have any fenders kind of protecting your wheels, and that's recipe for launching your car up into the air, which was kind of the case a little bit for Gaspar, and that kind of ruined Gaspar's run for his position. He currently sits down in 13th, and
yeah,
of course he's also got a bit of pressure coming from some of the other drivers around him.
Oh yeah, no, it's competitive across the grid, and in fact, like the top 10, still almost everybody absolutely racing each other. So this is really fun race to watch as we hop on board for that battle for, I guess, second. Eliseo's about 2 seconds in the lead, so he is absolutely speeding around the track. But let's check out what's happening as Jehan Ahn drops down a little bit, gives up 2-3 places, and look at that 3 wide, a very physical race, and not exactly where Facundo Rago wanted to be. He drops way back, and that gives Harrison a couple of spaces.
That's quite an unsettling move there of the drivers from 3rd to 5th, and Belziti down in 7th, a bit of overtaking behind that. We're now into the RACC chicane, which is always a place with high traffic volume because all the cars are bunched up after coming back from a fast segment just right behind there. So, you know, here at Catalonia, there's a lot of emphasis on knowing where to place your car as you try to overtake at various points along the circuit. Almost every corner is a good overtaking opportunity, but you'll need to know how to pull off the moves, pull off your overtaking move well. Gaston Kohlhaave in 5th. He's set 1 position behind Victor Miranda. He's also coming under a lot of pressure from Guinness's teammate, Kieran Harrison.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to see Kieran so far back there. Not that he shouldn't have been back there. He did get reverse gridded, but he's making some moves now, really upping the pace. You can see he's continuing to look for an opportunity to pass Kohlhaave in front of him. And we might actually see that here in just a second, so I'm glad we get a little bit of a wider view of the field. Was there some contact there in the back, Wei-Han?
Yeah, it seemed to be quite a fair bit of contact, but both drivers holding it up well together. I'm quite surprised because in iRacing, when you have open wheel cars touching each other, parts will fly off, but not in this instance. So, some driver running a fair bit off behind there, probably one of the drivers in 7th or 8th. But the battle here ensues between Victor Miranda, and I would imagine an overtaking move for 3rd position. Miranda goes up to 3rd, makes the move work against An Jung-min. Of course, Jung-min not going to let this go for free. You don't have any free lunch. So Victor Miranda fighting hard to a bit of touch there, but holding it on very well indeed. And Miranda coming under a lot of pressure from Kieran Harrison as well. So we might see within the next couple of moments Harrison and Miranda trying to pressure An Jung-min as much as possible as they take on this tricky section here towards the last sector of the Catalonia circuit. We're now, of course, back to the main stretches, which is where slipstreaming comes into play, and we will see if Jung-min goes defensive, which he does. And Victor Miranda follows suit as he goes for an overtaking move along the outside, textbook style of overtaking. Let's see if he's able to make it work along the outside.
Oh, he's so close.
Jung-min going to go along the inside. Oh, that's a great move for 3rd position by Victor Miranda, and Jung-min under pressure again from Kieran Harrison, who's just made the move for 4th position.
It is not his race. He is having a very difficult time, but kudos for hanging on to the top 5 in a stacked lineup. This is so difficult to do. As we hop on board with Kieran Harrison, you know exactly where he's going. He had that buzzer beater at the end of qualifiers to get pole position, got swapped back to the last place, and now he is on the climb. That's all there is. He's up to 4th and chasing his teammate Guinness, who's up in 2nd. But man, I really want to talk about this guy Eliseo in front. He has masterfully just used that reverse grid to the maximum effect. He had that pole position, and he is zooming off into the distance. Although what was a 2-second lead is climbing down just a little bit. So let's keep an eye as now Jehan Ahn is overtaking, or rather it's Harrison falling back.
Some great overtaking moves indeed. Of course, Eliseo having a declining advantage command over the rest of the field. But of course, Guinea only has 3 more laps to make this work. We're only racing 8 laps. It's not a terribly long amount of time. So, of course, you have to strategize quite quickly. Resende in 5th. He's coming under pressure from Kieran Harrison once again. I saw Harrison up in 4th. I think he's dropped back down by 2 positions again. Something must have happened. But Jackson Resende in 5th, coming under a lot of pressure. You can just see how calm and collected he is as he goes for the overtaking move with the number 10 car in his right-hand side peripheral vision over there as they go 3 wide into turn 1. Almost a 3 wide there. It looked like a 3 wide to us from that perspective. Into turn 1. A bit deep into the entry of turn 2 as well. But Kieran Harrison tries hard to go and reclaim his 4th position, of course being contested by Resende himself. So both drivers trying to make it work.
Is battling tooth and nail, back and forth, back and forth. That battle for 4th, 5th is so hot right now. Yanez overtakes Eliseo for the lead. That advantage I talked about earlier disappearing. Now back on board with Kieran Harrison. Really, this pack of 4 or 5 cars is so exciting to watch. Harrison seconds away from going for another one of these big moves. You cannot stop this guy. You can tell he is a little bit stuck behind Resende, and he hates it. He had it, and now he's got it again.
Yep, great overtaking move by the drivers. Oh, a little bit wide goes the number 12 of Resende off that right-hander. I tell you, at one point in time, on iRacing at least, that corner you had to thread that corner like a needle, because if your outside wheels went too far off what would be classified as a legal racing surface, you would get an off-track or a cut-track penalty, which is always a problem for us. Resende, we continue to observe him as he tries to, or rather is being given a run for his money by Anjomin for 5th position. Of course, Pedro Moura is in 7th. He's also pressuring the number 10 machine, and we'll see how this plays out as they come along the main stretch. We're down to lap 7, Reed. 2 laps to go in what has been an eventful first heat, and I have no idea how the race will unfold in the next 1 lap.
Oh, Pedro Moura trying to make this overtake happen. It's wheel to wheel. He and Jayon On. Oh, and On actually bumps his wheel on the turn, but it does fall back. Moura with a really fast overtake there at speed into the turn, and he holds on. So great move there. Moura up into 6th, Jayon On falling out of the top 5, and coming up behind him, Fabio Zamperlini has made up 2-3 spots in the last lap, so another spot, right as I was talking about him, on board with the man. He is moving, and I don't know if he's going to have too much more success, but he has gained quite a bit, and keep in mind that's after that big altercation at the very beginning of the race, so he is on a recovery drive, and is almost back up to where he started, so that's not bad. Now, checking out Pedro Moura again. He's got about a second to make up in 1 lap. That is difficult, but who knows? As we really striate the field right now, most of the battle is happening towards the back of the pack, but Moura does have maybe a little bit to worry about from Jayon On, who is right behind him in 7th.
Well, I think what is worth mentioning is that Corentin Guinea has already set a plus 2 second advantage, 2 second plus advantage ahead of the rest of the field. So, you know, as long as Guinea goes up to the lead, he's gone. He's gone from everyone else. And I hope he continues to hold on to the race lead for the final lap here at Catalonia. Of course, it's the white flag, and that means that drivers are on to their final lap, which means that they've only got less than a lap to go. Make their race strategies work, whichever they may be. So the great thing about racing here at AMX is that you don't have to factor in fuel or tire changes, so that kind of makes you focus exclusively on how you handle your car as you race. And that's Victor Miranda. I think he's lost quite a lot of positions. Has something happened? Is he serving a cut track penalty, or?
I think he might have gotten a penalty, a slowdown there a little bit. So yeah, I don't see any damage on his car, so I wasn't really sure about that, but he is really dropping. I think this might actually give Zamperlini the overtake. Yeah. Looks like Miranda I might have been stuck a little bit there, so I don't know if that's a technical issue on his end or if it's just him serving a penalty. I think it might have been some tech issue, but either way, I think he's got it under control right now, but it does look like he is struggling, and regardless, we're on the last lap. This is all we get for Heat 1. Then we're going to do it all over again in heat number 2. So whatever you're learning about these drivers, about this track, about these cars right now, keep that in the back of your mind. We're going to go all over again. Now, you're talking about the long straightaway earlier, and now as we come down to the close of heat number 1, we're going to get to see it one more time as guys like Corentin Guinez, who has made a 3-second lead for himself, is probably going to hit that a little bit ahead. The rest of the drivers, Belziti making up a place, Miranda a place also, so still some racing left to go here as we close out our first heat of the night.
Absolutely great racing indeed, and the race win goes to the number 19, the Frenchman, Corentin Guinez, who's made it work in his favor here at Heat 1 of AMX 0 here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. He wins the race 2 seconds, 3.5 seconds of Guillaume Eliseo, which is a great advantage indeed. Kieran Harrison, the teammate of Guinez, comes home in third. Jackson Resende, Pedro Moura, Fabrizio Belziti, and An Jongmin, your finishers for 4th through to 7th. Victor Miranda, a driver who we've kind of expected him to finish a little further up. He comes home in 8th position with Fabio Zampellini rounding up your Brazilian drivers in the top 10, coming home in 9th. Facundo Rago comes home in 10th.
Yeah, and it really is surprising to see that finish there. Zampellini with a nice recovery drive gets back up to where he started pretty much. And as the checkered flags fly through, we see Nico Godoy rounding us out there at the back. Really hope to see maybe a little bit of an improvement in our next heat, but overall a great drive. By and large, we all kept it on the track, which is more than you can say for how easy it is to drive these cars. They're a little bit challenging, so nice to see our racers putting up a pretty good performance tonight. Catalonia is our home, as the sign says, for one more heat. Here, Weihan, what are your takeaways after our first heat as we see the final standings pop up here? We already read a few of these. You can see Corentin up at the top, and Caio Gaspar, the man in 15th. He and Gerardo Ramos are gonna get flipped up to the top of the grid after our reverse grid. Weihan, what do you think of our first heat?
Well, the first takeaway is you don't mess with Catalonia because it's a track that demands respect. Even though it's a modern Grand Prix circuit, it's also a place that's very technical for a classic racing track. Due in part due to the chicane at the final sector. Definitely a challenge for all the drivers, but most of the drivers have made it through the first round relatively unscathed, I guess, and that's good enough for us to kind of understand that the drivers do have what it takes to handle the racing here laid in front of us tonight. So Caio Gaspar starts from pole in the feature race ahead of Gerardo Ramos and Felipe Spetrini.
And we are go for our final heat of the night in AMX 0 for tonight's 15th night of racing here in AMX Season 3. Let's go ahead and get started with Caio Gaspar off to an absolute tear. Ramos behind him, Calavi, Miranda, Resende all climbing. Danon falling down a little bit. Miranda now down a little bit also. Kieran Harrison gaining through the first two curves, and the guy on your screen right now focusing Pedro Moura, just trying to survive what is a front field falling backwards into him.
Great start indeed, and once again we're seeing that signature shuffling of positions. You can see the whole timing tower going green and red. That's exactly the effect when you implement a reverse grid. That's exactly what you want as a race organizer, to see drivers jostling for positions. Oh, some incidents happening exactly at the same place and at the same time as the first heat, so the drivers probably haven't learned the lesson from the first heat, so well, too bad for them if they've gotten into an incident.
Yeah, and after a bottom 5 finish for Dylan David Thompson, he finds himself back there again, but with company, so we'll see if he can make an overtaking drive. Nico Godoy, once again falling back a little bit, is a rough race for sure. Kieran Harrison, though, after getting flipped all the way down, let's see how he does as his teammate falls back along with him. He and Spetrinov, Resenge, Guinez all trading back and forth, and one of them gets left in the back. 2 spin out, and it is Belziti and Eliseo who are left in the dust.
Oh, that was quite a shambolic first lap of racing here at Catalonia. Certainly quite a fair bit more chaotic than the first heat, but nonetheless, drivers are still out racing. Unfortunately, Belziti and Eliseo had to, I guess, tow their cars into the pits. But of course, we still have the rest of the drivers racing. Kyle Gaspar is your race leader. He's still your race leader. Started from pole position, and Gerardo Ramos in second. Obviously, started second as well. Gaston Couhavi climbed 2 positions up from where he started from to sit currently in 3rd position. So Gaspar, of course, coming under a lot of pressure from what would be the number 2 machine of Gerardo Ramos. And both drivers are fighting it hard up front. And we've also got a couple of other drivers. Victor Miranda, who's gone in for a move for 4th position from taken from Fabio Zampellini. We're riding with the gearbox of Kyle Gaspar, one of my favorite camera angles, because you can, when you're in front, you can see how drivers behind respond to the moves of the car in front. It's always a good thing to see. So drivers obviously trying to follow closely as possible, because we're not on the main stretch. You don't have to go too defensive. Gaspar continues to lead the top 3 drivers as they take on some of the trickier sections here at Catalonia.
We did learn a little bit from our first race, so expect to see that. But I think the one thing that a lot of our drivers start to think of is the final heat of the night. This is where the pressure's on, and that's really what leads to crashes like this one. Fabrizio Belziti, you can see a lot of our racers going a little bit wide as he tries to steer back into it. He loses the back end and spins into traffic, and that takes out not only himself, but I think it was Eliseo who also wound up being the beneficiary of his front bumper. So a rough way to get taken out there. Of course, not, I guess, really either's fault, but when you spin into traffic, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, you don't want to spin into traffic, especially as a Formula car, because who knows where you'll be launched to next. You'll be pushed right, pushed left, or you might fly upwards. You never know with a Formula car like this. Ramos currently in second, still in second, and Kyle Gaspar still in first. So both drivers not in the same team. And Gaspar continues to lead. So if we do have a look at the last time by lap times, Ramos has actually set a slightly faster lap time than Gaspar did just the last time by. So we could see both Ramos and Gaspar going at each other, as they probably will begin to in the next few corners. The 69 machine of Ramos, yes, I like the number very much, with sitting behind Kyle Gaspar. Yet another lap here at Catalonia, but of course, on the checklist of Ramos obviously being the 2nd place driver, you've also got to watch your 6 and be careful of the drivers behind of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's hop on board with Ramos and talk about what's going on right here. He's got a Calavi in his rearview mirror on an absolute tear, looking for this overtake. Anytime you see somebody get to 1.5, he's going for it. And there it is, around the outside. He can't get it to stick. Ramos holding on with dominant defenses. Now Calavi dropping back even further.
Yeah, so Couhavi trying, of course, to hold on as much as possible, because, a little bit slidey there on the entry in right before the RECC chicane. Very dodgy indeed. You can see that Couhavi is absolutely very focused indeed. I don't see a Milka victory, so not too pleased about that today. But still, good racing nonetheless. Victor Miranda, of course, being the huge source of stress for Couhavi, as they go very defensive indeed. Victor Miranda goes along the outside as they come towards the braking zone of the long main stretch. Takes the outside of... Yep. So the thing with the turn 1 here at Catalonia is that you can of course you can make an overtaking move, work along the inside. You can also pull it off along the outside, because right after turn 1 is turn 2, where you'll be in the inside, which is what Miranda just pulled on Gaston Couhavi to take 3rd position.
The big moves being made there up at the top, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. Heat 1, we had this huge lead zooming off into the distance. Eliseo was trying to keep that, didn't wind up happening. Ramos now, he's in first, but how long is that going to last? Gaspar falling further down as Miranda overtakes him again around the corner, and that's going to be, even more difficult to hold on to. Gaspar Calavi, Harrison also on a tear, really making up a lot of time, although he does have his work cut out for him to break into the top 5 here. Let's see if he can withstand the heat from his teammate, Corentin Ganez, right behind him. That's what we see in the back of our screen. At the front is this battle for fourth place rather. Calavi, Zamperlini, and the man on your screen right now, Harrison, who has yet to find a way to fight his way into this top 5. Really locked out of it by a second and a half, 1.2 rather. So let's see if he can make this up. There's still plenty of race to race. 4 laps left at our time in Barcelona.
Victor Miranda continues to sit in second. His newfound second position obviously was a couple of positions down earlier on, but well, let's see if he's able to give Ramos a run for his money, because both drivers are kind of up there in terms of pace. So Ramos currently holds an advantage of just under 0.4 of a second ahead of Miranda. So obviously that means that well, the advantage seems to be decreasing by the milliseconds. So I think Ramos will have to be quite a fair bit careful as a hungry Miranda tries to go for the race lead. The race lead is obviously we're down to the final, the feature race, and there are no more grid swaps to go on after this. So the race win is the race win for the drivers here. Ramos going to come under even more pressure as Miranda tries to find a window of opportunity over the next couple of corners as they come upon sector 2 of this track, going upon the fast right-hander. This fast right-hander where again you're threading the needle. Nailed the exit there, a perfect racing line, so did Miranda as well. At the same time, we're also seeing quite a bit of a battling for position between third and fourth. Victor Miranda sends it along the inside of the hairpin, but Harrison goes for the switchback. Continues to hold on to his first position. What that caused Miranda is that now Gaspar is in third, much closer to Miranda, and we're now seeing a 4-horse battle for the race lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Harrison made that overtake on Zamperlini, or on Zamperlini there to make it up to 5th, so he's now into the top 5. At the exact same time, Ramos, Miranda, Gaspar, and Calavi are all changing positions. And we're actually looking for another one in the backfield as Godoy drops further down, which promotes everyone up behind him. Let's keep an eye there on our battle for first. It is changing right back and forth. Ramos, Miranda just going toe-to-toe, and that is Miranda in the lead for now. In the backfield, we have Zamperlini falling down as Quarantine Ganez is trying to fight for that top 5 spot. He's once again battling his teammate in Kieran Harrison, and neither of them are even in the conversation for these top spots we're watching, because Miranda and Ramos are at such high pace with each other, never giving up a single inch here as we close out our final 2 laps here. It is still plenty of time to race if you've got more in the tank, and it certainly seems like Gerardo Ramos does, as he is not content to give that first place away to Victor Miranda.
So for 2 more laps that Miranda has to make his conquest for the race win work, so of course he's currently got the race lead and he has to hold on to that for 2 more laps. Ramos is not going to let this go by easily, although of course both drivers are quite far apart in terms of I rating. Of course Victor Miranda having 8,000 I rating and Gerardo Ramos having 5.7k, but that does not mean that Miranda will walk away from this easily. We're also still having a battle for third position between Caio Gaspar and Gaston Calavi. Oh, a bit loose there goes Gaspar around the right-hander as they come upon the chicane there. Well, Gaspar saved it, and he's going to continue to try his best to hold on to his position. So right now, Gaston Calavi going very close indeed to Caio Gaspar. You can just see the almost look inside the nose cone there. So this is going to be a drag race down this long front stretch here. Calavi trying to go along the inside of Gaspar, but of course no slipstream being used. Gaspar still has a slight bit of a pace advantage along this main stretch as he continues to sit in third along this as they enter the first corner and the second corner as well. So Victor Miranda still your race leader at lap 7 of 8 of feature race here at Catalonia.
Yeah, I want to touch on something you said about a minute ago. It was the idea that we have incredibly skilled racers, but that's not always how it works out. As we see Guinness now passing up his teammate Harrison, a big move right there. But I think Harrison might be about to take it back. Wheel to wheel we go. Guinness, Harrison, who is the superior SimRC racer tonight? It feels like Guinness is locked onto that, but Harrison, is having some connection issues. So, or actually, I think it might be either or both of them. I'm not sure. So let's make sure that we can keep it clean, see each other, and see where they are going to finish. Harrison was about a tenth behind, but now dropping further back. I'm not sure if that's him or if Quarantine is just zooming off into the distance. He is certainly now in contention for those higher spots in the top 5, but as our lap numbers dwindle or reach each other, I guess the fraction they make is dwindling. It is not going to be an easy task to ask because the attack is strong, but Kalavi, we know this guy is super strong defensively, so it's going to be a difficult ask. I'm cursing him right now for him to hold off not one but 2 SimRC cars in his rearview mirror.
Tough job indeed for Gaston Kalavi, the number 5 ice blue car. I think white flag is in the air, and that means that drivers will have once again the final opportunity to make whatever moves they want to make work. Here in Harrison kind of backmarks this battle as all that goes very defensive indeed. Gaston Kalavi trying to defend his racing line, but Guinness takes the inside line of turn 1, which isn't always going to work. But he's also got the inside line through the sweeping third corner as well, and this time he makes it work for third position. But of course, I think he's just lost that position once again because there's quite a long corner. So Gaspar continues to sit in third, Guinness in fourth, Harvey in fifth position, and Harrison, he has to try harder if he wants to try to run for the fifth position.
Absolutely. Track is running out here, Weihan, and we are closing out the opportunities left in this top 5. There is a little bit of racing down there with Zamperlini trying to climb up past Jackson Resenge, but as we hop on board with Kalavi, this guy is really in the middle of what is a crazy close field. A little bit of dirt getting kicked up as we run off the track a little bit, getting a little wide here coming around the corner, and like I said, it is one of our final corners, so let's see what our racers can do right at the line. Quarantine Guinness making a big, bold move to try to take out Kyle Gaspar, but he can't quite find that around the corner. He's going for it, but he's on the outside and cannot contest. Behind him, Harrison Resenge, they both climb past Gaston Kalavi, so they're going to be up closer to that coveted podium spot. Gaspar holding on for dear life. Can he keep it together as we close things out? We are rounding our final few corners as we look at our race winners. It is Victor Miranda, Gerardo Ramos, Gaspar Guinness, and soon Harrison Resenge Kalavi Zamperlini coming across the checkered line. What a way to finish things off, and I'm very happy that Victor Miranda showed us that leaning into the turn in real life helps you go faster in the sim. A win for him in our second heat of tonight, and a fantastic drive overall.
What a fantastic race by all of the drivers, especially the drivers up front who kind of put together a great show for all of us. It was absolutely nail-biting, especially between Gaspar and Guinness, both of them absolutely fast drivers. But in the feature race at least, the advantage, the odds went to the favor of Gaspar, as he won by a margin of 500ths of a second, just a hairline difference between both drivers. So a fantastic outcome for all of these drivers, and well, I think if it's anything to go by, I think we'll definitely expect more of such close action with the races to come.
Could not predict that top 5 coming through. 1, 2, 3, maybe, but everything else was all to race for. As we close things out, we have Jayanan and Eliseo coming across their respective finish lines. Wow, what a heat, and what a race overall. I mean, we really learned a lot. I like to think of that first heat as kind of a learning lap, although we did have some pretty good qualifiers too, with Kieran Harrison getting that last second overtake for the win in our qualifiers. Heat 1 also delivered with a lot of great times, and Heat 2, no stranger either, with our victor being Victor Miranda. Okay, you're supposed to laugh with. Gerardo Ramos finishes in second, and Kyle Gaspar rounds out that podium in third. Quarantine Guinness and Kieran Harrison, teammates on SimRC, finish holding hands in fourth and fifth. and everybody else below them, including Diego Villarreal, who barely squeaks into the money, getting that 15th place finish there towards the end, with Nico Godoy, a guy that finished out of the points in heat number 1, coming up into the points in heat 2. So a nice improvement there for Mr. Godoy. Pedro Mora right ahead of him did basically also the same thing there too. And of course, a big warm welcome to DDT, Dylan David Thomas, our newer racer who finds himself in 12th spot. So he's picking up a buck, and nice way to do it. So happy to have all of our drivers with us tonight for AMX 0. That is going to do it for our time in Barcelona and Catalonia. Really interesting track, very fast on the straightaway, but as we saw a lot, taking those corners, man, it is very, very challenging. What was your favorite moment from tonight, Wei Han?
Well, my favorite moment has got to be just a minute ago, the final lap of the feature race between Caio Gaspar and Corentin Guinet, because it's moments like these that we live for as race enthusiasts, as commentators, as race fans, whatever. You get plenty of these, and you feel so happy watching such racing. It's good fun.
Really good racing, and there's more good racing to come. This is the end of AMX 0, but we have the premier tier of competition in AMX Global Season 3. AMX 10 is coming up, so you don't want to go anywhere while we take a quick break. Just want to make sure that you guys know what is happening here. In the meantime, we have all of the information you need about AMX 0, AMX 10, AMX Global League Season 3 on amxrace.com. That's the place where you can find updated standings, schedules, information. You can sign up to race there as well. So really, amxrace.com is the place you want to go. But if you'd like to share your thoughts with us, and we'd love to hear them, make sure to follow us and send us messages on Instagram and Twitter as well. Additionally, we'd love to have your voice included with our voices in the AMX Racing Discord. So you can either search for AMX Global Discord, you can find the link on amxrace.com. And of course, we'd love to see you there too. If you miss any of the broadcast this season, we have highlights, VODs, a 24/7 replay of all of the races this season on our YouTube channel. So make sure to head on over there and check that out. And of course, make sure to follow and subscribe to us on YouTube and Twitch. We'd love to have your support there too. I think I covered basically everything there. So that's going to do it for our first heat of the night, our first race of the night. We've got AMX 10 races coming up. You absolutely do not want to miss them. So we hope you come back and see us in just a few minutes when we're back for AMX 10 as AMX Global League Season 3 continues right after this.
to save our home. We must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
And a not so warm welcome to everybody for joining us for a chilly night in Fuji, Shizuoka, Japan. It is going to be a great night of AMX 10 tier racing in AMX Global League Season 3. Welcome. We're glad to have you along with us as we head over to Fuji to race some prototype cars. LMP2s, GTPs, whatever you're calling these things, they are in some ways the pinnacle of racing. We're happy to be sending them out on to the Fuji International Speedway here tonight. It's going to be a great night of racing. We have some of the best racers in the world joining us here tonight, as long as some of the best commentators in the world. Welcome, Wei Han. How are you doing?
Doing great. Coming off the back of what had been an exciting first race of AMX 0 over at Catalonia running the Formula 4 cars. I think if that continues, we'll be in for another treat here at Fuji Speedway with the LMDH/GTP prototypes coming to Japan here. So a lot for us to look forward to, more so with the fastest drivers in the world racing with us here at AMX 10.
That's right. It's going to be a great night of racing. You can see the guys getting out there in the practice session on your screen. We're going to be seeing a lot more of them out there. It's been a good year for prototypes. Got all of them joined into iRacing, so you have a lot to choose from. So we'll see what our racers decide to pick up as we get out onto the track here today. But before we get into the race, we got to break things down a little bit more. So if you're new to AMX this season, welcome. This is the AMX Global League. We are in our third season out of 3. The dates are from September 20th to December 10th. For about 3 months, we are running this league with $25,000 plus on the line and the most races in a year out of any tournament out there. 72 total races. We're less than halfway through, so we are really getting into the swing of things here. And by far the most exciting part of AMX Global League Season 3 is the race format. 15-minute qualifier, 15-minute heat 1, and then a final 15-minute heat with a top 15 reverse grid in between. It's not total reverse grid, we're reversing the top 15. Now that's most of the grid usually, but it does give the racers in the back of the pack a lot to race for. We're also paying out to the top 15 in both qualifying heat 1 and heat 2. So really accessible format here, but keep in mind this is AMX 10. This is the pinnacle of competition in AMX Global League Season 3. And because of that, we need to get you guys video feed. We want to see you, we want to see race. And so in order to facilitate that, join via the link in the AMX Global Discord server. You can find the link on amxrace.com, where also you can sign up to race. You can also submit your payment information, because we do pay out balances over $100 each month. And with over $600 on the line for every single AMX 10 race, that piles up pretty quickly. So you can absolutely hit that cutoff pretty easily, unless you're like me and would really struggle to do that. We do have Mount Fuji in the background of the Fuji International Speedway, and we are sending it out here 3 days a week for a total of 6 races. We start on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Wednesdays, it's in the evenings in the Americas time zone. And then on Saturday, Sunday, on the weekends, we are starting at 12:50 p.m. in the afternoon. So pretty accessible if you guys want to throw down some sim racing on the weekends. It's a great time to come out and join us for AMX 0 or AMX 10 if you are in Europe. The times look like this. It's late Wednesday night or early Thursday morning, depending on how you want to look at that, and in the evenings on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, starting at 6:50 p.m., 8:20 p.m. for the AMX 10 race. And we're not just racing for fun, we are racing for dollars. This is what it looks like, $601, specifically so that we can say more than $600 on the line. I'm just kidding, it just looks like that. $40 for first place in Heat 1, Heat 2, and the qualifiers. That's right, you win money for qualifying. It's a little bit like a hot lap challenge if you want to think about it that way. So a lot of money on the line. You do not want to take this lightly, and all of our racers are going to be really serious. But we're not just racing for the prize money. We are, in fact, racing for a little bit more, aren't we, Wei Han?
Oh, yes, we absolutely are. So, for those of you unaware, this series is brought to you by Next Level Racing, a leading simulation brand revolutionizing simulation with its industry-leading product range. The FGT Elite cockpit comes with quality of life features fit for the discerning sim racing enthusiast. available in stores with your local retailer, and also to the winner of the AMX 10 series. Take your sim racing game to the next level. Visit nextlevelracing.com for more.
Perfectly timed. Mwah! Oh, chef's kiss that one for sure. This is a look at the AMX 10 Top 12 because we couldn't make it the AMX 10 Top 10. That would be too easy and boring. This is a look at the total winnings for our top 12 racers with Diogo Pinto, Florentin Guinness, Caio Gaspar, and Gael Valero in the 500 club, way out in front. So really, really impressive top 4, and in fact, the impressive top 12 for sure there also. We even have guys up in the top 12, like Josh Thompson. He's only raced 4 times, so still getting himself up in the top 12. Pretty impressive. Diogo Pinto having won 3 races already, so that is a cumulative victory, not necessarily Heat 1 or Heat 2, although he has picked up some Heat wins there also. So really, really exciting to have so many talented racers here with us, and also to see them winning a lot of money this season. This is to look at the average races. So Enzo Benito, for comparison, has raced 1 time, but in that 1 race, he almost racked up $100, which is crazy to me that you can do that in just 1 race. Whereas it took guys like Diogo C. Pinto 8 races to build up that average to 72, which is still an absolutely incredible amount of money to win per race. So this is a look at a little bit of like a power rankings based on finishes during the race. And it's really exciting to see so many great racers who have done so well for themselves on the day over the course of AMX 10 races this season. This season and this month only, we are having a special promotion. Normally, AMX 10, it's called AMX 10 because you have to pay $10 to enter the race. But for a limited time only, you can get into AMX 10 races for free if you are one of the first 10 entries each time for each race. We upload new races to amxrace.com periodically, usually a little bit after the races finish, so make sure to keep an eye on amxrace.com for your chance to be one of our lucky racers to get a free entry into AMX 10 this season. And that just about does it for our housekeeping, which means it's time for us to get into where and what we are racing today. And for that, I turn it once again back over to my co-caster, Weihan. Take us through what and where we are racing today.
Thanks, Reed. So, we've come to Japan once again, to the infamous Fuji Speedway, and dare I say, the home of endurance racing in Japan. So obviously it's on the base of, by the base of Mount Fuji, hence the name. It's in the city of Oyama, which I think is just within the vicinity of Tokyo, not too far away. And of course, it's so storied that it was opened in 1965. So it's got a total of, the layout as it stands today has a total of 16 corners, but well, as some of us history buffs might know, the Fuji Speedway used to be intended to be a full-on speedway, oval speedway itself, but due to, I guess, some changes in decisions, it became a normal road course circuit that we all know today. So, of course, it's a very high-speed circuit. The first half of the track is high speed, and the second half of the track is where you have some interesting corners that, especially towards the final sector, that's where you have to get creative with handling this track. We're of course coming to this racetrack with endurance racing. You have prototypes here, the GTPs, or otherwise sometimes also known as the LMDH cars. So obviously in the stable you've got 4 distinct machines here. You've got the BMW, you've got the Cadillac, you've got Porsche 963s, and you've also got the Acura machines. So all 4 of them are displayed here. These are all very powerful machines indeed. 600 in excess of 600 horsepower, and dare I say also slightly easier to handle than the previous LMP1 cars. So Reed, we have a 100% full power, I guess, combination of car tracks that will take us on for, well, a great racing experience.
Yeah, and actually today is a really great race if you want to put those cars to the test. The 2 racetracks today have some of the longest straights of all racetracks anywhere in the world, especially Fuji. I think the Fuji Straight is almost a mile long of just straight out, flat out racing. 0.9 miles, 1.475 kilometers. It is a long, straight track, and then you get into the curvy bits. So it really does test a lot of different disciplines, which is why you have so much endurance racing here, because it is just so cool to see how different cars handle the different aspects of the track. You really get to see how well-rounded your drivers are. And tonight we have some of the some of the most well-rounded drivers out onto the field, and I'm excited to see what they can put up as we enter the qualifying session for AMX 10 race 15 tonight. So we are 30 races through a 72 race card, and the season is going to get even more exciting. This is not our last time out on Fuji either, so get a lot of chance to see what our racers have in store. Tom Burns, one of our racers tonight, UK racer for Team Redline, and an absolute monster in prototype cars, especially the LMP2s, like we're going to be checking out here tonight. So very excited to see what he and the rest of our racers will be putting up here, as we are building up quite a large field tonight. So excited to see what they have in store.
So I've just seen an overtaking move by another BMW GTP car on Tom Burns. So we're once again onto familiar territory. This is qualifying, which Reed, I do have to say, qualifying in AMX feels more like a time attack to us, because it's more because you win the same amount of prize, similar amount of prize in qualifying as you do in heats 1 and 2. So not only does it influence your starting position later on, it also yields you the same amount of rewards if you do well here. So added incentives for drivers to do well here in qualifying. So we've got a total of, well, I would say in excess of 15 drivers, which is definitely great to see. And of course, with all of the drivers being at least Class A license, with a couple of, obviously you've got a couple of Pro and World Championship class racing drivers as well. We definitely have an all-star grid here at Fuji Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely. A great breakdown. We do have 2 world champions in Diogo Pinto and Gael Valero. Absolute monsters, closing in on 10K I rating, so very strong. Tom Burns himself is not doing too badly. He's sitting up there with 9.089K, so very strong racer here. And of course, he's already put up some big numbers this season as well. So we're starting to get our first few times trickling in, and surprising to no one, we are going to see some great representations from the 2 French drivers, Gael Valero, Corentin Guinness. These guys have been hot lap masters. Even outside of qualifying, sometimes you'll see them, if they're not having a great race, they'll just head back to the pits, come back out and hit a hot lap, get that money for the fastest lap, because we do actually give away $5 for fastest lap in the heat races. For qualifiers, that's just the whole point of what we're doing here. And currently, we're seeing Facundo Rago going first, although something tells me that might not last for long.
Well, qualifying is quite long here. We've got 15 minutes of qualifying, which is much longer than what you allocated in the officials. So it gives drivers plenty of time to kind of stretch their legs and have a few goes at setting the fastest lap times. So obviously Rago with a provisional pole of 128.7, but you've got some of even more faster drivers who've yet to nail in their lap times. So we would probably, well, I think at this point some of the drivers have also just done their outlaps. So we would see maybe the likes of the 2 Frenchmen who might just get fastest lap times set in the next couple of moments. I'll tell you something, the combination of Gael Valero and Corentin Guinness within this grid makes me very excited, because I can't wait to see what both drivers have in store for all of us.
Oh, a little right on cue. What our drivers have in store for us, Weihan. They are, drawing some donuts out there on the track right now, and we shouldn't actually, make too much light out of that. Let's talk about our racer on your screen right now, Gael Valero. This guy is a member of Apex Racing Team, which means anytime you see this light and lighter blue livery, it's probably him. Really impressive driver, not only in our series, but in a whole host of others. It doesn't get much better than Valero Gael. 28 years old, so he's still got a burgeoning career ahead of him. And of course, you can follow him on Instagram at Valero_Gael.com. I added that last part. Don't put that in there. Either way, he's one of the best racers that we have in AMX this season. And if you want somebody to watch during the race to figure out what and how you're supposed to do it, he's probably a pretty good one to pick.
Yep, so we do have the qualifying lap times being set right now, at least after the outlaps. So we would expect drivers to be around the ballpark of 127s and 128s, which is absolutely fast alien territory indeed. Well, most, if not all, drivers here are aliens, with an average of, dare I say, 5,000 iRating. It's absolutely within the top 5% of the iRacing population. So Belziti comes around the line with 127.799. Great stuff indeed. And so does Tom Burns, who was made his way to provisional second. Just a hairline difference between himself and Belziti, a difference of 4 thousandths of a second separating provisional, pole, and second place.
Looking at those lap times starting down at the bottom of your screen, you can see the little rubric. Purple is best in class, green is personal best, and then of course yellow is not as much of an improvement. So keeping an eye on Fabrizio Belziti. This is a guy that has really, not surprisingly, held on to first, but is really doing a great job setting up those 127s we are expecting for the top of the field during our time here on Fuji. Oliveira improving, Mora improving, and a few more lap times being set. But these are sort of the appetizers, right, Weihan? We're only seeing a hint, a fraction of their true power in the first half of qualifying. Although I will say, with this over now, it's time to put up some of those purple sectors. We really want to start closing the door, because nobody wants to have happen what happened in the first, I think it was qualifiers for AMX Zero race today. It was Kieran Harrison, the guy we should be watching here, but unfortunately is somewhere in the metaverse. He is a very, very fast driver, and he actually overtook at the last final seconds of qualifying in AMX Zero, so nobody wants to give him the chance to do that again here today.
Well, we've just passed the halfway point of qualifying, so yeah, if my math hasn't failed me, I've returned math to my lecturer, so I cannot count anymore. Pedro Moura in 10th, provisional 10th. He's just gone over the curbs. Yeah, you don't want to do that with these GTP cars, because you will damage the bottom of the car. But he's currently in provisional 10th. Obviously, he's less than a second behind the pole sitter, so you can just see how close these drivers are to one another in terms of pace. So 1 second found the driver in pole, and behind the drivers in pole, and all the way down through to positions 12 and 13. So you can just see how close these drivers are together. And what that means is that in the race, we will see drivers with all these drivers with pace close to one another as well, which is always a great sign of competitiveness within the field. Jackson Resende, currently in 10th, is going to come across the start-finish line with a lap time of, well, let's see if he improves on his previous lap time. It might appear that he hasn't improved on his previous lap time, so he continues to sit in 10th position.
Down there at 10th, but maybe not for long. Still room to improve as we hop on board with Tom Burns, driver good enough for the second place time so far, 127.803. And if he is able to maintain the second place time, he's going to take home $25 just for driving for 15 minutes in qualifiers, and does not improve on that time, 129. Put up there. And yeah, we were actually seeing quite a few yellow sectors. You get the idea that drivers really went out there, put the pedal to the metal, and tried to really slam it home early on, and now they're coming back through and trying to take maybe a more concerted look at the track as they head around it. Although I will say, for Fabrizio Belziti, I think he's still trying to up his game. I don't think he's resting on his laurels just yet. See him there actually probably literally resting on his laurels, but metaphorically, he is still out there racing as hard as possible.
Yeah, so Valero just set a purple sector as he's gone for yet another lap in qualifying, and that could mean that he might set a fastest lap time as he comes across the line. This is Fabrizio Belziti from Voracious Racing, 3 years of age. Interesting. And Yeah, so he's definitely in a very fast team. And as we just said, that Gael Valero, your new pole sitter, obviously with a purple sector, that was enough to propel his lap time all the way up to the fastest in the session. So great driving by Valero. He takes provisional pole ahead of Fabrizio Belziti with 5 minutes to go in qualifying.
And you get to know Fabrizio Belziti for a second there on your screen. Driver profile popping up. Voracious Racing. These guys equally voracious, and honestly a team I had not heard of until I saw them competing here in AMX 10 specifically. So then I got to know them not only on the track, but off the track a little bit. And not only is it a really cool racing organization from Argentina, all of their guys very, very attractive on, off the track. And especially when we're watching them here in AMX 10, they can really, really surprise you. Facundo Rago specifically, we've seen him way up at the top and a huge contender when he gets into that first place position. So a lot of different racers to highlight here. So we're doing as best as we can. You want to get your name up there in lights, amxrace.com. That's the place. So we also see quite a variety of manufacturers here tonight, Weihan. Although I will say probably more BMWs than not.
Well, I would imagine it's due to the fact that the BMW M Series V8 hybrid, I think, the GTP offering, this came to iRacing first before the rest of the cars, so that could explain the dominance of BMWs. But at the same time, we've also got Cadillacs, which I found to be quite less challenging to handle with those cars, at least compared to LMP ones. So that could also probably explain why there are a fair bit more Cadillac GTP cars here on the grid. So, well, those two appear to be the predominant choices for the drivers here. Well, of course, we do also have token representation of the Porsche and Acura GTP cars, which is definitely great to see. We still have a fair representation of all four manufacturers, so we could see how this all plays out. But I would imagine that the BOP would have been done well by iRacing for all four cars to be relatively to kind of have some parity in performance. So that hopefully doesn't affect the drivers too much. And as we just said, that Kieran Harrison with the Cadillac set a new provisional pole position with 2 minutes to go in qualifying, and that could be testament to the fact that it's down to the driver, it's not down to the choice of car when you're racing here.
You know, as you're racing here, as we hop on board once again with Tom Burns, you get to see not only who has mastered the track, but also the drivers that have mastered these cars here. Now, it's no stranger to see LMP2s or prototypes out on Fuji. This is one of the best, most storied endurance tracks that we have out there. But specifically for guys like Tom Burns and Diogo Pinto, drivers for Team Redline, also Gael Valero, these guys are very accomplished specifically in this class of car. So we've seen them not only put up big performances in our tournament, but also huge offerings in other tournaments out there too. So some names to watch. Absolutely up at the top of the field, but Kieran Harrison doing an amazing job and really sort of outstripping his companion, his teammate, Quarantine Guinness, who we saw going nose to nose over and over again. Never mind, they're right next to each other again. All right, I'm just going to let you handle this one. So we've got Guinness up in pole. 1:27.592, definitely a blistering lap time indeed, which is 1/10 of a second ahead of Kieran Harrison. So yeah, both drivers for the same team. Diogo Pinto, your World Championship licensed driver, set a new pole position lap time with a 1:27.4, which is 2 full tenths ahead of Quentin Guinet, with less than half a minute to go in qualifying. So, well, if this is anything to go by, I think we'll probably have a spicy first heat to the race here at Fuji Speedway as well. No, we won't. It's over. It's gone. It's done. Diogo Pinto at the last second steals away that first place spot. Guinness had done the same dirty deed only seconds before. So really, really incredibly competitive end to our qualifying session there at the very end. Some big names coming to the fore there. Diogo Pinto, the man on your screen right now, with not only his Team Redline livery, but also the trophies. I don't even know if that's all of them. Maybe that's the only ones he could fit on the podium. He's coming in first in the 17 car. He's not a privateer. He is on Team Redline. The two SimRC drivers right below him, Quarantine Ganez and Kieran Harrison, and then Tom Burns, who also is not a privateer. He is on Team Redline, and they can change that with 2 clicks if they want to. So Gael Valero, he's got his Apex Racing team name entered incorrectly there. So nice to see him and his team represented in the top 5 as well. So very, very fast drives, but you can see how close and competitive that top 6, 7, very, very near, within I mean, even less than half a second between these guys. Really excited to see how this race goes down. Got some new faces, some old faces, and all very, very accomplished. Can't wait to get into our first heat here tonight, Wei Han.
Likewise here, because we're now stepped into the, well, dare I say, the big boy territory here with AMX 10, and what that means is that competition intensity will be turned up by 10 notches. So we're down to Heat 1 here at Fuji Speedway with a GTP cars, which you don't get a better combination of cars and tracks here, because this is exactly as it is featured on the WEC calendar. And it doesn't get more intense than this. So, sitting, well, in the imaginary passenger seat of Pedro Moura, who qualified 15th, which means that he'll start from pole in Heat 1. Well, why I say imaginary passenger seat is because in real life, these prototype cars, they are only 1.5 seat widths in the cockpit. You don't actually have a second seat on the right. It's just half a seat for you to put like your fire extinguisher or something like that. So
that means
Moura
that
leads the field.
If we were to ride together in one of these cars, it might get a little bit comfortable.
Yeah.
I think we could do it. He does lead the field. What's your strategy for rolling starts, Wei Han? Do you like to stay where you're supposed to be or get penalties? We actually had one of those earlier today. Somebody dropped out of their spot, and that's not the way you want to start the race. So hopefully nobody goes off the road to start things. I'm just trying to jinx it so we have something exciting to talk about while these guys get a chance to warm up their tires heading around our formation lap.
Well, I think it's half a lap worth of formation lap, because they're now probably down to what appears to be the final corner, if I'm not mistaken.
Also,
this
they're
is a
already
Panasonic
formed up,
corner.
so it's actually not formation at all. I just said that because it kind of looks like that, but it's not really. It's just a rolling start, guys. Don't worry.
So any moment now, the safety car should peel it.
If you look at the formation right there, I think they might need a little bit of help. I kind of want to put my giant godlike caster hands on the track and sort of squish them all together. But as we get started, this is the beginning of the race. The lights are out, and we are go for our first lap of AMX 10 Race 15 for our time here on Fuji. It's 8 laps for heat number 1. So let's see what we have in store. Down to the bottom, we've got Ganez dropping out. Maybe? Question mark? Not sure about that one. We also have Burns dropping quite a bit and quite a few falling positions there as we figure out exactly what's going on and where it is going on, with Moura falling very far back in the standings. Some very good and very bad starts, and already our first indication of carnage out there. I believe that's the Team Redline drivers getting taken out there. It's Diogo Pinto way back in the back, and his teammate Tom Burns out of the race at the beginning.
Wow, what a huge shunt to the start of the race here at Fuji Speedway by everyone else who's made it, who's unscathed, has made it unscathed through the first lap incident, the first sector incident, and everyone else has making their way through the middle sector here at Fuji Speedway. We're already down towards the latter part of Fuji Speedway, preparing to complete the first lap here, as they make their way through turns 13, 14, and 15. Obviously the slowest part of Fuji Speedway, because otherwise it is quite a fast place to go racing. So Victor Miranda, your race leader, has climbed 7 positions from where he started from during gridding. And behind him is Gaston Coulthard. Oh, that's someone who's going around. Someone's getting pushed around.
I've never seen a gentler crash in my life. You got totally T-boned and then just sort of gently straightened back up there on the track. I mean, the damage is real, but at least he doesn't get completely destroyed. And look at that crash that started things out. It's a 2-3 man affair and not a good start for either team, Redline drivers. They and Eliseo are out of the race for now.
Well, it's been an unfortunate start for those drivers involved in the incident. Well, we've lost a couple of the fastest drivers that we have here on the grid, but well, otherwise, that seems to be Gal Valero, who's gone a little bit wide of. I think that's the hairpin, probably the hairpin, the right-hander, and a couple more cars making it too wide into approaching 100R, I believe, or no, this is 300R. You see the racetracks here in Japan as Guinness goes along the outside of Oliveira as they go side by side. No contact indeed into the Dunlop chicane. Excellent maneuvering into the third sector of Fuji Speedway, as it does appear that Guinness obviously he's gained 7 positions where he started from, indeed just the same number of positions gained as Victor Miranda, as he now leads Pedro Oliveira towards the end of lap 2 here at Fuji Speedway. Reed, I think these drivers are definitely in for a treat, as we've already completed 25% of the race length here at Fuji Speedway, and all of the drivers seem to be settling into the rhythm here at Fuji Speedway.
Yeah, with the minor exception of about 3 of them. But yeah, how are we already 3 laps through this race? Time flies when you're having fun, Weihan. Obviously, we started with a rolling start, so that gets us a little bit ahead of schedule there. But yeah, just to hop on board with Pedro de Oliveira. This guy's in 8th and probably the hottest part of the pack. You can just see it on your screen. The cars are pretty clumped up, but honestly, I think we are starting to see a little bit of a spread out. And if this was an endurance race, that would make a little bit more sense. But like you said, we're already almost halfway through. And so as we check out the top of the field, there's a lot of action going on there, specifically up at the top. Galavi, Resenge, these guys are battling back and forth and back and forth. Yanez Harrison, the teammates duking it out down there for the 5th place spot. But just the action doesn't stop, and I hope it doesn't for the rest of the race. Zamperlini also working on an overtake of his own there behind. But look at Jackson Resenge. This guy is really struggling to keep that thing pointing forward, wiggling back and forth. That is not the handling you're looking for.
Well, I would imagine that Resende does know what he's doing, as he's under a lot of pressure from 3 cars in total behind him. So that's Resende in 2nd, and those are the BMWs of Golavi and Gaspar in 3rd and 4th, and they certainly want a piece of this pie that Resende is going for. But of course, the battle between Golavi and Gaspar will be more intense, because that's for the final podium position. That's, I think, Kieran Harrison, who's gone along the inside with his Cadillac to cut off the nose of Kyle Gaspar to take 4th position, and that's a brilliant move done into turn 1 by Kieran Harrison. Great stuff indeed, as he leads Gaspar into Coca-Cola corner and then into 100R. Well, the guys in Japan, they like to use numbers to number the corner, which is definitely interesting.
Yeah, it is definitely a different naming system for sure. I mean, we do still have corners like Dunlop, Nets, Coca-Cola, right, Panasonic, but you get the idea, right? We're naming it after like a lot of brand names and numbers, so that's how we're doing it. Also, there's a term called hairpin, which is a hairpin. So also, I forget which track it was, but you got to watch out for the space. There's hairpin, like the shape of a pin that goes in hair, and then also hairpin, which is just a very sharp corner. So either way, we got one of those here. Battle for 7th happening on your screen. They headed into the corner, and I thought it was a spin. I'm almost had a little bit of a sim racing heart attack there, but it's keeping it. Whoa, there's the spin. I did it again, Weihan. Another spin out there, and it's not going to be a very good race for a 4th driver on the field for now. Not the way it should have gone down, but either way, as we hop back on board with Harrison, he's going alongside, trying to take this position away. Can he actually get it done? I don't think so. He drops back behind Gaston Calavi. 3rd place will retain.
He's gone defensive along the inside, which has allowed him to retain his position in 3rd. That's Gaston Calavi in the BMW, ahead of Kieran Harrison in the CMRC yellow liveried Cadillac GTP machine. So yeah, both drivers going very close indeed, and onto the corners, a bit of bumper touching, I think, as they take this Coca-Cola left-hander before coming onto the 100R right-hander. I've not driven this track that much, so I'm not too familiar with how it feels like as you handle this track, but the racing that it produces is absolutely exciting indeed, as there seems to be some swapping in position as they take on this series of corners. They've just made their way through 300R and now into Dunlop. They've exited Dunlop and they're now towards a sequence of 3 corners towards the final sector of the circuit. So we do have a look at Oliveira getting a bit of contact to his right rear. Still managed to save his car nonetheless, which is great. And Kohlrabi and Harrison still trading positions. Harrison up to 3rd position as they make their way round the final corner of lap 5 here at Fuji Speedway.
Yeah, and look at this. The teammates, Ganez, Harrison, and Kohlrabi, sort of the meat to their sandwich there. The top 5 is absolutely mental. 3 wide there for a second, and it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon, Weihan. And I'm glad we can see what Gaston Kohlrabi's face looks like as he tries to navigate this incredibly treacherous part of the field. I don't even know who's going to come out ahead. It looks like currently Harrison has climbed his way onto the podium just barely. But for how long can he stay there? Ganez, Kohlrabi, you know they both want their spot back, with Gaspar a distant 3rd place finisher to that 3rd place up there. Let's see how long Kohlrabi can hold it here or potentially even take back some of those spots. He is down 2 from where he started, and you know he has a problem with Harrison and Ganez, the plus 10 drivers, on a huge run, taking that away.
Gaspar making the position up once again ahead of Kohlrabi. I tell you, the confusion from the Formula 4 race earlier on does kind of come across again because we've got a couple of cars with the same livery, so that's something for us to crack our heads over. Kieran Harrison in 3rd. Well, he's relishing in his final position on the podium, which, well, if he does pull this off well, he could well take this during the next 2 laps here at Fuji Speedway. Obviously, great tight racing nonetheless all throughout the field. Obviously, we've kind of focused quite a lot on the action here up front because this is where the most intense battling is taking place. So battling between the teammates 3rd and 4th. Are we going to see a move by, I guess, Guinea as he tries to approach into the braking zone of turn 1? Well, continues to remain status quo as they take on the start of lap 7.
That's right, lap 7 starting up here as we're on board with Kieran for probably a while. You guys should get used to this guy's car and everything happening here because he is always absolutely in the thick of it. He is up in the top 3 for now, but with his teammate closing quite closely behind. The action is here to stay for sure. Also, Gaspar, Kohlrabi, Valero all behind. Valero on a monster drive himself. He's plus 4 looking to get into that top 5 too. So can't take an eye off absolutely anyone as he battles Kohlrabi for that 6th place spot.
As we come towards the tricky section once again, Gael Valero wants a slice of this pie, so we've been used to seeing Gael Valero taking race wins here at AMX. Well, today he's got plenty of drivers to give him a run for his money, so he's got 1 lap left to try to make any moves. But Kieran Harrison continues to sit in 3rd position ahead of Corentin Guinea once again. From what I see, you know, they're kind of maintaining this well, and as teammates, obviously your first priority is typically to keep each other safe. And then maybe battle it out within each other. But well, it's sim racing, so you know you can do it any way you please. It's white flag in the air once again. The third of 4 white flags that we'll see here tonight in AMX. And I'm not sure about you, but I think this race seems to be a little more predictable than the Formula 4 race that we've seen just an hour ago.
No, I mean, it is going to be a little bit more like that. These cars are much faster. When your cars go faster, you can put bigger and bigger distances based on just being better. And that's kind of what we're seeing. The drivers of similar skill levels are staying close to each other, and the ones who aren't are really a lot more distanced. Barring, of course, the Tom Burns and Diogo Pinto drivers down there. Team Redline drivers got kind of taken out earlier, and now they are doing their hot lap challenge. Currently $5 more in Tom Burns' pocket if he can hold on to an incredibly fastest lap set down there in 18th place. If he's not careful, he'll actually be racing in the actual race, but for now, just trying to get those fastest times as we are continuing to watch Aaron Harrison set a time as fast as he can to keep his teammate Corentin Guinez back further than just half a second, which is currently the only lap or the only distance remaining as we close in through the hinterland of our final lap. Looking on board with a man who could very well be our race winner. The checkered flags go out. It's Miranda, Resenge, Harrison, Guinness, and Caio Gaspar will round out your top 5, the finishers for heat number 1, AMX 10 race 15.
The battle still ensues here at the second half of the grid, but Gerardo Ramos, one of the fast drivers as well that we have, he comes home in 10th ahead of Fabrizio Belciti. So as the other drivers make their way home here at Fuji Speedway, I think it's the first heat has been a good taster for the drivers to kind of experience how racing here at Fuji Speedway is going to be like. Well, it is the home of endurance racing, and you will also notice that on tracks that are more geared towards endurance racing, the layout seems to be a little simpler, and that's something that I've noticed with Fuji Speedway as well. Suits these cars well, suits these drivers well, and I think we're now going to move towards the feature race, which will see Pedro Miranda take the race lead. So Pedro Miranda, your race winner for Heat 1, your BenQ session winner here at Fuji Speedway, Heat 1, with Jackson Resende coming home in second. Kieran Harrison, Corentin Guinness, both teammates from CMRC Racing Team, 3rd and 4th position, and we've got drivers Caio Gaspar, Gal Valero in 5th and 6th, Gaston Kilharvey and Facundo Rago in 7th and 8th. Drivers Fabio Zampellini and Gerardo Ramos round up your top 10 race finishers in Heat 1.
They do indeed, and this sets up a very interesting heat number 2 for our final race of the night, because Diogo Pinto and Tom Burns, who got unceremoniously taken out by Eliseo there at the start of that Heat 1 race, as we head into Heat 2, they both finished in 17th and 18th, if I'm not mistaken, which means they will not be reverse gridded into the top of the field. They will start from the absolute back of the pack, and that means they will have a very long race ahead of them, which hopefully will see them continuing forward and not in circles at the back of the field. Well,
considering those 3 drivers in 16th, 17th, 18th, they seem to be the top-rated drivers in our session, among the top-rated drivers in our session, so we might see them probably coming up with some surprise moves as the race starts. So you have drivers warming their tires. Well, in iRacing now you weave your car, it does help with warming the tires, so drivers, some of them, they are doing that. As we prepare for the start of Heat 2 of racing here at Fuji Speedway, Pedro Miranda seems to be really determined to make this final run work for him.
Are we moving forward or... Okay, there we go. A little bit of a slowdown there for a second. You can tell Pedro Miranda is trying to get himself into the good spot. He's like, I thought we were going fast. Are we racing? I don't know. Oh, yeah, see? No, it's... Wait, what? What am I watching here? Okay, there it is. I thought he was taking a little bit of a jump. I don't know if he's going to get a penalty for that or what. Okay, spoiler alert, guys. Don't pay no attention to the man behind the mirror. Yeah, anything could happen this race, right, Weihan?
The reaction on Pedro Miranda's face was priceless, as we have a situation of plenty of overtaking moves up front. Pedro Moura is a race leader out as he leads the field out of turn 1, and Carlos Ocano in second. Of course, most of the other drivers have all kind of made their way through quite safely. Diego Villarreal lost a couple of positions as he exited turn 1, but Pedro Moura continues to lead the rest of the field into the hairpin and then onto 100R. So we're now with the BMWs of, the 2 BMWs that we've seen earlier on in the race having their positions contested. And, well, it has been quite a clean start to Heat 2 of racing here at Fuji Speedway, as we do have some side-by-side, plenty of side-by-side, bumper-to-bumper action. No shunts. I just said that there's been a shunt between the BMW of Kieran Harrison, that would appear to be. So, unfortunate start for Kieran Harrison. He was one of the front contenders the first heat, but he will have quite a lot of work to do in the second heat as he tries to regain lost ground. Some of the other drivers here, we do have quite a small battle back here forming. A bit of spinning there. Well, some driver has lost his. That seems to be Diego Villarreal, who's lost his rear spoiler. And what that means is that he's going to corner slow, but he's going to have the fastest top speed of all of the drivers here on the grid.
Yeah, the fastest speed, the fastest lap there. Pedro Mora in first place, setting the time up there with Oliveira right behind him. Belziti, Rago, Ocano, your top 5 for now. Well, let's see what's happening in the back of the pack. We do have Burns and Pinto after a very unceremonious start, battling up the field. But Gaston Kalhavi, I think he must have spun out there as he drops way down the field. Very hurt there behind Fabio Zamperlini, just desperately trying to hold on, but continuing to bleed times there. Zamperlini himself is actually looking for a little bit of an overtake on Diego Villarreal. These guys battle it back and forth all the time, and actually Villarreal might have had some accidental assistance there as he tumbles way back to the back of the pack and out of the race.
Well, that's unfortunate to see because I was expecting Diego Villarreal to have a good run with the rest of the drivers. We do have a look at the first lap incident. You know, I should stop commentators cursing. It's a bad habit of mine. As they made their way through the Dunlop chicane, that's usually a flashpoint of Fuji Speedway. It's also one of the places where incidents tend to happen because you are kind of flying out of 300. You're not braking a straight line. You're braking as you're turning into the entry of Dunlop chicane. Pedro Mura continues to be our race leader as he's coming under a lot of pressure from Pedro Oliveira.
Moving on past Kyle Valero, passes up into the top 4th spot. Ganez left behind, the countrymen battling it out against each other as Gaspar closes in from behind, a +4 for him. Burns and Pinto on +7s and 9s behind all of this, so keep in mind, Lord, they coming. They are on their way to the top 5, and we'll see how long it takes them to make it there, because you would absolutely expect their masterclass skills here to be shown in heat number 2. As we see Gael Valero, it does appear that he will have a little bit of a gap to the top 3, so we might see him in this spot for a while if Florentine Ganez will leave him alone. Closing back in again on the inside. He can't make it past the wheel well, so won't be overtaking just yet. The perspective really baited me there, Wei-Han, but I do think that Ganez is absolutely looking to retake this 4th place spot.
Yeah, so both Frenchmen fighting it out with each other, although each representing their own distinct teams. Gael Valero from Apex Racing Team, one of the top sim racing teams from the UK, and Corentin Guinev from Sim RC Racing Team. So Valero currently has the advantage. If we have a look at perhaps the lap times that have been set the previous lap, well, you know what, they're coming across the start-finish line, so we can have a look at their lap times as they come across the line here. It would seem that Gael Valero is slightly slower than Corentin Guinev at this point. So Valero currently continues to sit in 4th with Guinev, who might perhaps think of an overtaking move within the next couple of laps, as we do also have a battle for 7th position between Tom Burns, one of the drivers who did face an unfortunate end to his run during the first heat. He's now up in 7th during the feature race. He's under a lot of pressure from Caio Gaspar as well as Diogo Pinto, another fast driver. And as we just said that, Gael Valero seems to have just been overtaken by Rago for this position.
Yeah, Facundo Rago, member of Voracious Racing Team, is up in 5th now, overtaking Gael Valero. That's not a sentence you say all that often. He is having a monster drive, so let's definitely keep an eye on him as we watch Gaio Kaspar, the teenage ghost. Is he teenage? I don't remember. It's the friendly ghost. That's what it is. He's in 8th right now and is doing it best as he can to hold off Diogo Pinto. Now, while Tom Burns has had his own situations out there on the racetrack, Diogo Pinto and Burns feel like they might be a little bit stuck here. Whoa! Oh. Spins in the backside. It's Caio Gaspar heading down, way in the field, and that's Harrison out of the race as well.
Well, that was an unfortunate shunt for the mid-pack drivers earlier on, but what is fortunate on the other hand is for Pedro Mura, who started on pole and he's led for half the race. And I think this race might just go in the favor of Pedro Mura as he continues to lead all of the field, and as he is 3 to 4 tenths of a second ahead of the other Pedro Oliveira. I just noticed that. Both drivers from the same team. I wonder how they address each other during team conversations. You know, hi Pedro, hi Pedro. That's nice.
How common is the name Pedro? I'm going to find the answer here. It looks like out of all names in the world, Pedro is the 1,561st most common name. So there you go. I got answers. You got questions. Good teamwork there. Tom Burns. Teamwork also in effect, however, not as good. Diogo Pinto 3 seconds back. Tom Burns still climbing, and he's looking to take Facundo Rago's place. We were talking about him earlier, and he is really going to have to turn on defensive mode. I don't know if that's actually a mode, but here he comes. And down this big straightaway, he's got a great opportunity to do it.
Yep. Facundo Rago, we're riding with a very hungry Tom Burns, who's going to think of an overtaking move towards the end of this backstretch. Yeah, there we go, the overtaking move. He just swung out wide, and I think Tom Burns has just committed to that move. He's moved up to 6th position, as we can see from the timing tower, and so has Gael Valero, who's made an overtaking move ahead of Burns. Diogo Pinto seems to have slipped a little bit there. But as we continue to observe Pedro Moura, I'm not exactly familiar with, once again, I'm not too familiar with this track, but it does seem like it's quite difficult to overtake here because, well, Pedro Moura is still dominating this race. He's still up top in front with Oliveira in 2nd. So, well, as always here on AMX races, we have battles all throughout the field, and that is the battle for 6th position between Tom Burns and Facundo Rago.
That's right, Facundo Rago in 7th, but you know he's going to feel a little bit bad about that after that. Oliveira dropping down way off the track. That is not the way he's supposed to go, and that's not the way the car is supposed to point. Let's rejoin safely here, boys and girls. What a way to change up the top of the standings. Okay, wow. Fabrizio Belziti, Guinness overtaking Oliveira into 2nd. Valero, Burns, Rago, Urzenje, your top 7. Wow. That's Harrison out, Pinto out, Kulhavi out. What is happening in this AMX 10 race? Heat 1 and 2. Some huge upsets here, Weihan.
Yeah, I can tell that Pedro Oliveira isn't too pleased by what exactly just happened. He's now, well, he's some positions down at this point. But of course, the one who's more unfortunate would probably be Pedro Moura, which, you know, he's lost 8 positions. So that was unfortunate. I was kind of expecting them to continue holding command of this race, but well, things happen in races, but of course Oliveira almost coming into the rear end of Valero, and that's just resulted in his teammate making the overtaking move on him indeed. So they're now coming towards the middle sector of the circuit, going into this is Dunlop chicane once again. Yeah, I'll tell you, you have quite a similar situation here at Fuji Speedway as you do.
Look at how
some
close
contact
that
there
is
between fenders.
Wheel to wheel, so insane to see the battles. I mean, they're on the same team, but look at how closely they are racing each other. This is not as close as I thought it was, but look at Tom Burns, man. He is absolutely going for it, and really, you know, he's go on for both of us. Diogo Pinto, his teammate, out of the race. Tom Burns doing it for the rest of us. Top 3 is his as he overtakes Oliveira. I'm not sure what's happening down at the bottom of the field, but we are really motoring up there at the top, and now we start to finish. That didn't make sense.
The final white flag of the night.
That's right. White flag is out.
Yeah, we are indeed. Tom Burns. Did someone just flash his... Oh no, that's the driver flashing in and out. I thought the headlights were flashing. Tom Burns in 4th. Yeah, great to see a Red Bull Racing Team Redline car racing here with us. Tom Burns sitting behind Gael Valero. So of course we do see that the faster Frenchman, at least at this immediate moment, is Corentin Guinet, who is 1 second ahead of Gael Valero. So we've got half a lap of racing to go here, and if things go to plan, LCT will bag $40 with Guinet bagging $25 and Valero bagging $20. all good money indeed. Tom Burns will try his best as they come upon the final sectors of Fuji Speedway, but if all things go to plan, it is probably gonna be Fabrizio Belziti who's, at this point, he's rounding off the final couple of corners. He's just left Ned's corner and he will probably come around Panasonic corner. And this is Fabrizio Belziti of Argentina who's made his way around the final corner. He's taken the opportunity to take the race lead and he will come across the start-finish line first. The feature race here at AMX 10 here at Fuji Speedway. And Corentin Guinan, who's done an exceptional job to climb all the way up to second place, he will finish in second. And someone's gone right onto the grass. That's Gael Valero who comes home in third. And Tom Burns will finish the race in fourth position. Great racing by all of the other drivers as well. Pedro Oliveira, Facundo Rago, Jackson Rezende, and Pedro Moura, your drivers from 5th through to...
That's right, Wei-Han, we're finalizing Ocano and Villarreal for the final 2 places. Oh my God, they're gonna do it. Eventually. I just had to put some energy into the final lap of the race and the final heat of tonight. This is all we get tonight, and so we're going to enjoy it while we can, watching the American Ocano close things out there in 13th. Right across the line. Eventually, we get a little bit of a scenic route around the beautiful Fuji countryside. In fact, there is the scenic Mount Fuji right ahead of us. Glad we get to take the scenic route, smell the roses a little bit. You know, this is all about enjoying the moment, right? We get to enjoy a few more here as the final lap does conclude. As the final lap does conclude. Okay, all right, come on, buddy. It's time. The foot's a little falling asleep a little bit there. It's late at night, but I know you can do it, and indeed he will. Heading across the finish line to close out lap 9 of 8 as we finish out our time here in Fuji. It has been a beautiful, picturesque race for the most part. Maybe some of the final racers down there at the back might not agree, but for everybody up at the top, it was a really, really impressive race, and just shows you cannot predict things just looking at iRating or placements or qualifyings or anything else there. You never know what you're going to get in AMX Global Season 3. So let's go ahead and break down the final standings here, Wei-Han. Fabrizio Belziti, Corentin Guinan, and Gael Valero, the top 3. Tom Burns, Team Redline, climbing all the way up to top 4, but his teammate, Diogo Pinto, unfortunately falls out in 16th, just barely out of the money. Victor Miranda right at the cutoff point. And that's going to do it for our race. 15th is there. And I honestly, I would have expected maybe a little bit more from some of the drivers in the back. Who knows what might have happened, right, as they didn't really get the chance to finish the race in style. We still had some great fastest laps set by guys I wouldn't have expected. Even way down in the standings, still some incredibly fast racing happening. And really just giving everybody a chance to race with that reverse grid. I think you got a great chance to see what happens when you give racers that struggled in one race a chance to come back in those top 5 or top 15 spots and really show us what they got. And I think we got a chance to see a really great indication of why Fuji is such an amazing track for endurance racing, Wei-Han.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So as drivers are beginning to get queued for post-race interviews, well, I think we have. I think this was another one of the exciting races that we've seen here at AMX. Of course, like the Formula 4 races that we've seen earlier on would have been intense. Whereas this one, it's a little more measured for the drivers, you know, and I think it's quite apt. You're coming towards an endurance racing style of an event, and you know, the drivers pull it off absolutely well indeed. So Reed, I think we based on the drivers' performances, I think that there are some deductions that we can make as we think of certain questions that we want to ask the drivers. I myself would like to, you know, ask if whoever who's coming on, you know, coming to Fuji Speedway from Catalonia earlier on, those are two very different tracks. So, you know, if some of the drivers who've done both races, I would like to understand what they think about that.
I think the only deductions our drivers might want to make are from the prize pools of the people who might have shunted them off a little bit there. A lot to talk about tonight with our drivers, whether it's one track or the other, or whatever is going on out there. I need to handle this real fast. There we go. All right. Yeah, we are getting ready for our interview. It looks like we are going to get a chance to talk to Pedro Mora first. So let's go ahead and head on over to our first interview of the night. A little bit dark there, but welcome, Pedro, to the show. There we go. Now I know who I'm talking to. That was a mysterious challenger there. Welcome to your first interview. What has your experience been like in AMX Global League Season 3 so far?
Hello, everyone. So it's been a great experience. It's so funny racing here. I mean, we have a lot of different tracks, a lot of different cars, so it's always like something different. You have to adapt to every race and learn something new, and it's good to improve on racing, so it's great.
Well, I'm glad you've had a good time so far. What did you think of the two races today, Fuji and in Barcelona? Did you think they were kind of the same, or were there some big differences?
It was good races. I like it. I am better on the Formula 4 car, so it was a better race for me. I was stuck in an accident on the feature race, but it was fine. It happens. So, and in the second race, it's a difficult car. So it's a car that I don't have so much experience. So it was more challenging for me. I was doing a good race too, but I did a mistake and everything was after that. So I was fighting for the victory. I don't know if I would be able to hold on, but it was funny races anyway.
I'm glad you had a good time. We have to go, but before we go, this is your first interview in tonight or ever in AMX. How did you get your start in sim racing? Did you have a friend or somebody who introduced you to it? And what makes you keep sim racing?
I found sim racing 10 years ago. I was just a 13 years old child, and it was I think a friend showed me, and I was like, oh my god, this was what I ever dreamed for. So like when I was a younger child, I was like 6-7 years old, my dream was to be a racing driver, but I didn't have money for that, so sim racing was a cheaper option to feel something like that. So it is why I keep racing till now. I love sim racing, so that's it.
Well, thank you very much. It's been really fun to have you in the races this season, and we hope to see a lot more of you in the future.
Thank you, Reid. See ya.
Alrighty then. Whoa, there we go. All right, we're good. Let's go ahead and finish things out there. I didn't get a chance to ask too many questions that you had earlier, Wei Han, because we have to kind of wrap things up here. But was there any moment from that final race on Fuji that stood out to you? Any big moves from tonight, Wei Han?
Well, it was the misfortune of Pedro Mora himself when he lost his race lead. That was a disappointing moment for me, because I was kind of rooting for him to take his race lead all the way to the finish. But well, things happen in race, and there are plenty of opportunities for drivers to go again at making it big here at AMX. And I'm just glad that Pedro Mora had fun racing with us, and I hope everyone else had as well.
Yeah, a lot of racers coming in with their own stories. So I love to hear from more of them and how they got their starts, why they keep sim racing, because it's just so much fun to have so many incredibly talented, passionate racers with us here in AMX Global League Season 3. That was a plug. We've got to head out of here. But before we go, I just want to make sure you guys know what and where everything is happening. This is the end of our races for this week, but we do more and more races, 6 races a week, 3 days a week, and you can find all the information about AMX Global League Season 3 on amxrace.com. That's where you can sign up. You can see schedules. You can see leaderboards and all sorts of information. Everything AMX is on amxrace.com. So make sure to head on over there and check it out. We'd also love to hear what you have to say on social media. So make sure to follow AMX Global on Twitter and on Instagram, where we'll post highlights, announcements, updates, and everything in between. So we'd love to have you follow us over there. And if you'd like to come back and watch any of the other AMX races this season, you can do that on Twitch and YouTube. So make sure to follow and subscribe to those streams and show us some love. We'd appreciate it. Make sure to join the AMX Global Discord, because that is where you can make your voice heard. You can interact with any of the pro racers you saw today. They're all in there, and you can ask any setup questions or just post some memes and cat pictures. It's all good, and we'd love to have you in there. More than that, when we finish this broadcast, we also have a 24-hour broadcast of all of the goodness from AMX Season 3 on our YouTube channel. So check that out if you need some background noise. It works pretty well. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Wherever you are in the world, we want to appreciate you for being here tonight, and hopefully you'll join us back here for more races from AMX Global League Season 3.
this feeling now is so ethereal. Oh, this life, it's ephemeral, but this timeless moment is so